BATC Thursday Net. Let's turn the power up. That's about all I'm prepared to run at the moment. Busy transponder tonight. Before we start, G4FKK will be up first, Martin. Just for a change, if you can be prepared to go first. I have GI4DOH, G0MJW, G4HJW, G7NTG, G0NZO, and G8GTZ when he sorts out his transmitter. Yeah, I've got your last on the list now. I am actually thinking of putting on the Portstown info screen what bit rate is required, and you can then all tell me it doesn't work with the correct bit rate, but I thought it might be worth a try. Well, 8 o'clock, so good evening all. In the world of BATC, it's been a quiet week, but I'll come on my over. I'll tell you what I've been up to on the software and hardware front. Just the normal routine shop orders and so on. Have you, Gareth? So the order will be G4FKK, Martin, then Richard GI4DOH, then Mike G0MJW, then Bernie G4HJW, Jim G7NTG, Jules G0NZO, Noel G8GTZ, followed by Gareth G4XAT. So that should give you some time, Noel. Right, round to Martin then. G4FKK, G8GKQ and the net.
Right, oh blimey. It's a little bit lively. Yep. Let's turn it down a bit. Yes, good evening all. Sorry, Dave, I wasn't expecting to be top of the list, so probably not properly ready yet. Let's turn the monitoring down. Anyway, yes, it's been a busy week this week. Trust everyone's keeping well, by the way. We're all, fingers crossed, still okay here. So I got the knucker working. I've updated the ports down for Dave, which seems to work nicely. I've tested it across the shack, although I've got a ghastly feeling I may have damaged my spare mini tuner, which seems to have gone very deaf on 2 meters. That might have something to do with me chatting away to Gareth on one aerial at 50 watts on 2 meters while that poor thing was plugged into a different aerial. But anyway, I've got my fingers crossed for that as well. Then I had a major rejig of a project I did some time ago for an automatic matching unit. Someone else wants to build one of those, so I was trying to remember how the code worked for that. And then just this evening, my main HF rig, which is the ICOM 756 Pro 3, which I don't know if anyone can see what the problem is, but it is switched on, and there should be a display showing 80 meters at the moment. So that's a bit of a disaster. I think I know what it probably is. There's a little HT transformer inside to drive the backlight or the surround light on the display. So other than that, Dave, I've got nothing planned, so I'll keep it short and just have a quick look at the notes. Nope, nothing's got any comments for me. You got Gareth, so that's okay. So with that, round to you, Richard. GI4DOH, G4 Fox King King. Over.
I can see myself, which is a good sign. Good evening all, and thanks for the intro there, Martin. And yes, I hadn't got myself particularly well organised either, and fell at the same old thing about not turning down the volume before I start to transmit. So that should be me settling down. The heart rate can settle a bit. Well, I hope you do sort out the rig there. Somewhat daunting these days with microprocessors controlling so much of what goes on that you can't just trace a signal through from point A to point B and find out what the problem is. It's not as easy as it used to be, so always a challenge there. Good luck with that. So what have I been doing? Again, I didn't expect to be on second, so haven't quite prepared myself. I just say thanks to Jim, 7NTG, for sending me the information about the Nokia amplifier that he this week on a 23 23 centimeter transverter board to the bottom right of that. Just done all the groundwork. I've got a little board. It's actually the same board as I got made for the Nokia amplifier that does PTT and switching and all the rest, provision for transmit and receive LEDs, and also giving me 8 volts out and 5 volts out in this configuration. And then I should have, if I can find the button, whatever I do to, I haven't planned this very well at all. Trying to display, there we go. The at the heart of it again is an ADF 4350 board, and the BATC PIC board. That's a really useful thing. The RF generator board is a great asset, but the BATC PIC PCB in itself makes it so much easier to do all that. I'm very pleased with that. That's the 5th or 6th one of those boards that I've actually used, so I'm very grateful to BATC for making those available, and probably the next time I'm ordering something I'll order another couple. So that's all ongoing, and that'll keep me busy. The hard work on drilling holes in the box and everything else is done, so it is just a matter of completing the assembly of the transverter board now with the local oscillator there. I have a 10 megahertz temperature compensated oscillator board on its way. One of the HAC RF1 high stability boards seems to be the cheapest way of getting a 10 megahertz temperature compensated oscillator, so that should be in the post. So that's about it for me. I think it's on to Mike, G0MJW next in the line. This is GI4DOH with the BATC net on 100.
Okay. Right, just setting the power to something reasonable, just to make sure you can receive me. Hopefully you can see me as well. Sorry if the lip syncs out, Martin. I'm using a different microphone because you were complaining about all the popping. I'll sound a bit distant, but hopefully I won't be assaulting your ears. So yeah. Right, a few things there. It's good to see you've got the knucker working with the ports down for Martin. I've done the same. I haven't actually tested it yet. I've not had a chance because my knucker is connected to my Lang. I will try it with the Ryde, rather, not the ports down for, and see if I can get it to work with that. So I updated the software. It looks all good. Sad to see that you've had the difficulty of the blown Cerit, maybe or maybe not. If it's working on the other bands and not 2 meters, that would be a bit specific, so it's probably something else. There's the blown 756 display. Well, bad luck comes in threes, so what's the next thing to blow up? I don't know. Hopefully nothing. And Richard, that looks like a nice transverter. When I needed a 10 megahertz temperature compensated oscillator, I got one at a rally. And that was the way we used to get these. It's a bit difficult now. Sorts of these sort of crystal references, ovenized references and all sorts of things. But of course you don't go to rallies anymore, so you don't see people. Anyway, news for this week is there's a new Pi out today. I don't know if people saw that. A Pi like an Arduino. It would be a challenge to get that to do any video encoding, but it might be useful for other applications. Looking forward to getting that. I've ordered a couple of those just to see what they're like. I expect other people will do too. And then coming on to what I've been building, well, there's a couple of things here. See if I can hold this up to this camera. That arrived. Noel was showing us one of those at some point anyway. It's one of these 150 watt PAs. I've not done anything with it yet. I don't intend to be an early adopter of this one. I'll let other people blow them up before I do. But it looks good, and I think Gareth has spotted that the spacing of the on the end is just the right size for an SMA connector, or one of those N types with one of those SMA type flanges on it. So that's good. The other thing I've been doing is this one. That's a black box, so it doesn't really help you very much, does it? With some power poles on the back. I switch it a bit clearer. I don't know. Try that one. Yeah, it's a bit clearer. That's a thing that measures current. It's an ammeter. Got one of these modules in it, which are on eBay. They're pretty cheap. And this particular one goes up to 100 volts and 30 amps or something like that. And the idea is to measure the current of PAs and things, so that's what it's for. If I go to the desktop view, just give me a second to find it, I will be able to, not that desktop. There we are. Lack of popping, thank you. This is what it looks like when it's up and running. That's on Thingiverse if anyone wants the 3D print of the box that I put it in. So I connected it to my 28 volt power supply and put an amplifier on it, which took 1 amp because it was on standby. And I've got the 50 volt amplifiers. It'll drive those as well. So that's what that's all about anyway. Not much else to talk about or show. A lot of people on the net. That's really good to see. On to Bernie, I think. So G4HJW, G0 Mike Juliet Whiskey. And yeah.
I think that level will do, even roll, G4HJW, and thanks for that, Mike. I like your video quality. You know, most of this TV stuff is new to me, and I've been trying to improve mine, and I've just knocked the, well, as you'll see when I fade it across, I've just knocked the light level down, and it's a little bit better, but I suppose part of the problem is having the fact that I'm outside and you're seeing really black areas. The coat doesn't help either. And then the very light stuff. So maybe that's part of the problem. I need to be a bit more turned on. I wasn't going to be on this over. I want to have a go, see how I can work on the 4 metre QKAC tonight. It'll be the first time. Well, I've had one QSO, 2 QSOs on there, but this will be a chance to see how far I can get, which is good. I had one mystery this week, which I need to bring up. I'll let that come over. I've been tidying up, which is a dangerous thing to do because you find things that you've not seen for a decade or two and wonder why you've kept it. But anyway, there's some crystals and a couple of them were not marked, so I tried them on my standard test oscillator. One of them didn't work, so I opened up the crystal, just an HC18U, and there's something very obviously missing in there. So the question is, why would anyone have delivered an HC18U without any quartz in it? And I still don't really have a very good explanation for that, so if anybody's got any idea, I shall hang around through everybody's over before I go in, but that one intrigued me a great deal. Building wise, I've been doing a couple of things this week. One of them I can't remember. The other one is because we've got a local put GB3PS back up, which is the 23 cent repeater. I thought it'd be good to have a reliable receiver, so I thought about modifying an FM 1000 mobile, which is this one was a UHF one, and I suddenly realised it would be easy enough to use the same local oscillator for the first mixer. I was going to have to add in another mixer. All you had to do was work out what frequency I wanted for the local oscillator, given that it's going to be common to the 2 mixers, and that challenges my brain quite a bit, I'm afraid, but I've got it working. I'm really pleased. I needed to double the local oscillator frequency. There was a nicer way, but I had ceramic filters, ceramic resonators on 850 megs, which is just right, so I did it that way. But the really nice way would have been to use anti-parallel diodes in a mixer, and then I could have used the same frequency. That really would have been good, and I might have been able to use the transceiver on transmit as well, whereas I've modified it too much to be able to do that. So it was something interesting, and once you're retired you need things like that. Right, enough from me. I know there was something else I was going to say. I apologise for not remembering. I better put it on to the gym. So I'll say good night, but I'll be
Make sure I'm on before I turn off the sound. There we go. Yes, that's all right. Yeah, good evening all. Bernie, I think Mike's just pointed out there's one with a short somewhere, those crystals. So that's a calibration set, isn't it? All you want is a proper crystal, an open and a short. And as regards blowing things up, yes, I blew something up. I've just fetched it out of the bin. One of these little power supplies. You've probably seen them all. I wired it up very stupidly with a whisker of wire shorting the output, and it didn't like that because it was set to 28 volts output. So it didn't go bang or anything, it just gave a huge cloud of smoke, filled my shack with smoke. So
that was good fun. The other thing I wanted to ask, anybody has come across one of these. It's a rather nice little power supply with fans on the back. It's one of these redundancy ones, and this connector at the front, I didn't know whether anybody knew where to get hold of them, or whether they just do the way I will probably do it, and that's just solder straight to the pins because they're big enough. It's a 24 volt supply. I think it would make it turning it into a 28 to add to loan equipment, because I've got more equipment gone out on loan now. Now we've got another operator in the local area transmitting TV signals to us. So yeah, I haven't done much else because I've been remodeling the shack. You can probably see it's all very empty, and if I swing the camera around, you'll see there's nothing in here. I'm starting from scratch, and I'm rebuilding my shack, so there we go. Quite a big job. Used to be a bedroom, but I've got rid of the bed now, so instead of all my test equipment being up the top where I can't reach it very easily, I'd have to have long cables. It's all coming down onto a bench. So there we go. Right, well that's about it from me for the first round, so I'll put it round to, we'll put it round to Gonzo. G0NZO from G7NTG.
Okay, it looks like I'm actually putting data out. Test, test, test. I can't even tell if I'm framed or not. There you go, I'm framed. Right, let's take these things off, otherwise I'll be talking to myself. Yeah, just using the mobile phone again as the streamer with the Larix broadcaster application. That's streaming down to the Pluto that's down in the shed with the PA and the feed to the dish. Not very well focused there, is it? That's not great. So I've got about a 10-second delay if I frame myself. There's a 10-second delay before I know whether I'm in frame or not. Yeah, bit of fun and games with the ports down. I think a number of you probably seen the chat on the forum. Dave gave me a few pointers. Trying to get the ports down to talk to a mini tuner, and I was battling with all sorts of stuff. I could get the beacon SNR MER display up. I could get lock on channels like the beacon, that sort of thing. No video, and it just turned out to be a crap USB cable. That was all it was. So decent USB cable straight into the Pi, and I'm getting decode. And I can actually see myself now as well, which is surprising. I'm quite pleased with the Pluto. The ports down. It's received everywhere. It's locked up on everybody tonight. Occasionally, sometimes when stations have changed, I've had to drop back to the menu and bring receive back in. I don't know if that's because people are using different encoders or or different audio, and I don't know if the ports down software detects it if it changes midstream, or if it only detects it when you start the receive. I don't know. That's probably a Dave question. So yeah, I got originally I had a USB hub or two inside the box, then a little extension lead to some chassis mount USB connectors, then lead out to the ports down to the mini tuner. There's too many words there. I'll just give them letters A, B, C, and link them together. So as I started taking things out of that chain, I started to get more and more functionality. A little bit of squeaks of audio coming through, occasional a frame would pop up, until I got a decent cable, mini tune, straight into the Pi, and it's working. I'm still going to have to think how I'm going to do that, because I don't have the chassis lid open with leads hanging out the side of it. I've got chassis mount connectors for a reason. So yeah. Anyway, so I've got receive, so I'm able to actually see myself, and I've realigned the receive dish, so I'm getting a good 9 dB on the beacon. I was down a couple of dB until a little bit earlier on. I couldn't understand why. We had all the wind outside over the last couple of days. I thought, oh, it's not the dish again, not the dish out of alignment. No, I got a load of scrap wood piled up near the dish, and it's blown it down, and the dish was half obscured by bits of planking and things. So I think that's why we were a couple of dB down. Shifted that this evening, and that's back up again. So right, that's about all I've got to say. I shall pass it round to who is it? Sorry, it scrolled off the screen. So I'll just pass it round to whoever's next. I think it might have been Noel. Right.
Right, evening all. We're in C920 mode, unfortunately, due to problems with the IPTS in. Don't know what's going on. Clearly haven't got to the bottom of it. I thought I had. But, thank you, Mike. Trouble is, it's not quite so flexible. I'll have to do the wobbly cam mode around the shack. So what's been going on here? Quite a bit, actually. Things have picked up, as well as playing with Knucker, and I'll come to that in a minute. As Mike said, the 77 PAs have arrived. I spotted one of those on eBay, put it up on the forum, and the guy instantly sold 14 of them. So I had fired mine up. It does work. It is pretty inefficient for those of you who bought them. It was caveat emptor, so you'll need to find this out yourself. But it is DC requirements are pretty massive. But it certainly does. It does amplify on 77s. I've had getting on for 100 watts out, but the actual DC in is pretty heavy. It's at 32 volts. I actually used an eBay up converter thing, which seemed to work, but the current at 24 volts driving that was 17, 18 amps. So I'm not actually sure if it's going to be practical to run portable. I'm starting to go down the road of wondering if I need to buy a generator rather than try and do it all off batteries. Even though I've got two 12 volts these days, so I can get an easy 24. So that's a scary thought. I'll never run a generator mobile. I know Dave FRE does, but something to think about. And that's particularly true given the other thing I've been working on, which I've had a lot more success with. I bought a Calmus amp off Dave G4 FRE, which is a broadband 50, 70 and 146 meg device, and 28 volts, much more efficient than the 77s thing, and I can now run 80 or 90 watts on all bands of digital pretty cleanly, so that was particularly satisfying. How much current? Yeah, have I got the numbers here? Hang on. put it like this, at 35 watts mic, it was 6 amps at 32 volts, so for 35 watts, so not particularly efficient, but there you go. The other thing, oh yes, these are Ryde. Bought a couple of these very nice things off eBay, which will now give me another band. These are 40, they're actually 38, but they will go on 47 gigahertz mixers. So the plan is, that's the only missing band at the moment, and I've got a dish, so it's going to be relatively, I say relatively low power, it's about 0.1 of a milliwatt. It should go a distance and give us some points on 47. So that's another project to be working on. But the other thing I did, and then of course there's optical in the background, but I moved on from there. I haven't finished it, but I moved on. Well, it says, well, it doesn't say 38 gigs, but no, they are. A lot of people have used them on 47. If you read around, that's the type number. The guy there again, the guy's still got. You can't actually read the type number, but just about everybody uses them in their 47 gig transverters. Came from Italy, which was another tale, but we won't go there. And the other thing I tried, Dave, in particular, the thing I'm interested in is whether we can use OFDM mobile. So I went out today, broke the law, I guess, or the guidance, and did one quick run. I was going to show you a video. Unfortunately, it wasn't particularly impressive. So I've got, I actually got 2 ports down 4s now. So I ran this one on receive, and that one over on in the car transmit, and that was that's PA bolted on the back of it. I was running about 6 watts. Ran this big wheel mobile on the car. Yeah, this is the that's the HFPA on that side. That's the Calmus amp, and this is a very, very, very nice heatsink, sort of a wind tunnel type effect. And this is the 77's PA bolted on the other side of it. But the mobile tests weren't that successful. I couldn't work out if it was. I think there's probably a system issue. Just put the camera back on. I think I didn't really have a chance to engineer it particularly well, and I don't think there was enough. I think it was an RF problem, but certainly I was unimpressed. I was hoping to show a video, but seeing as I can't do that, it'll have to wait. So lots going on this week, and keeps us out of mischief during lockdown, doesn't it? Right, who is next? Gareth. Good old Gareth. Right, he will no doubt tell us about PAs and things as well. G4X80 to take it.
Right, I have myself. I hope you do too. Good evening all from G4X80. Yes, I've had a good week building. I haven't let the smoke out of anything, which is very promising. I'll start with the 77 amp that looked so promising. As Mike said, or somebody said, you can fit the little tiny SMA socket on there on a couple of M2.5 straight onto the board, no problem. And you can also do the same thing with one of the smaller ends at the other end. it's not very efficient. Now, I haven't got figures to hand, but it got hot pretty quick, and it didn't do much more than about 50 watts. With my somewhat limited and potentially inaccurate test gear. I had to drive it with this little beastie, which has been seen in CQTV. The Pluto goes in one end, and there's a driver stage, and then this brick, and then I've added a 77 filter, and then that feeds the amp via a bit of attenuation, or the other way round. The match isn't very good. I swept it with an analyzer that I've got, and it was about 5 to 1 on 437. So although there is a tiny capacitor to adjust, it's got a tiny square peg drive, so small I haven't got anything even close. I'd have to file something down to fit. Anyway, I found some nice little fans. I'm going to have a row of 3 of those on the end. Stick a bit of extra heat sinking in the middle there, and maybe a bit more each end or whatever, and maybe give it a go. But I thought I'd have a look at my Nokia Dolphin instead. So thanks very much to Rob M0DTS, I think it is. This is pretty much exactly as per his conversion details. I've done a few more mods, like I've got a TX LED for showing the biases on, another filter board. That feeds in at the very low level input. I've taken out 3 of the regulators, which drops the 12 volt demand a bit, and that's a 28 to 12 volt step down. It's not working too hard, but the input cap gets hot. I'm surprised by that. It's only doing about half an amp. So if anyone can shed light on why that might be, other than cheap Chinese rubbish, I'd be very grateful. And I've built a knucker that works straight off. Lovely job that. And I've been transmitting across the shack, trying to make head or tail of what a good clean DVB-T should look like. I guess it should look like that rather than like that, but it doesn't seem to grow shoulders like DVB-S2. Okay, that'll do for this over. Round to G0 DQH from G4X80.
Just checking the audio. Yep, that's fine. Okay, good evening everyone. Hope everyone is okay. Mo and I have been told that we have our jabs on Sunday week at 9 in the morning, so at least that'll be out of the way, and we're looking forward, hopefully either later this year or maybe next year, we don't really know, of actually going somewhere rather than being locked in. I do work part-time, and it is essential work for BT, so without giving too much away, so I do 4 hours a day part-time. So with that in mind, we go to Greece every year to a villa, and if I may, I'd like to upset all of you now with some really nice photos of the villa. And it's Lefkada in Greece, and it's one of the islands to the south of Corfu. It's the only island with a swing bridge from the mainland, so you fly into Provisa Airport and then drive down over the bridge and you're on the island. It's very much a yachty place, so the swing bridge opens on the hour every hour to let the yachts in and out of the harbour. So if I may, I go down through some of the slides I took of the villa, and we're looking forward to going again. We should have gone in May last year, and then again in October. We had to cancel that as well, and now we're booked to go in September. But whether that'll happen or not, I don't really know. So I'm just going through some of the slides. It's 2 bedrooms, all the facilities that you would want in a villa. It's on the flat as well, near the beach of Agios Ionis, up in the north of the island. So I'm going down through some of the slides. As I say, we're looking forward to going again. We've been going there for 10 years, would you believe, to the same villa. So we know the island pretty much now. Okay. So the pool's lovely in the summer, height of the summer. It's not so warm in the spring, but I do grin and bear it. And the next slide is of Agios Ionis Beach in the north, and the next one is the barbecue at the villa, a separate barbecue area. I'm going ahead of myself now. You probably hear me clicking away at the various slides. The next slide is Corfu. Is Lefkas town, and very much like how Greece used to be, and it's extremely nice, very friendly, very nice. Almost at the end of the slides now, and the last but not least, for those who've been to the island, it's Porto Katsiki, which is right down on the west coast of the island. It takes over an hour to get to. Very scenic, and the main thing on the island is honey, other than tourism. And to get to Porto Katsiki, you go down through pine forests and whatever. It's very nice. On the left is a staircase. You have to. I never counted how many steps, but you have to stop 2 or 3 times to climb it. So it's fairly steep as well. So that's it. That's the last one. Back up to Cabra. And I think it's G0NZO now to take it. So I'll pass it on to you. Just get my call sign up again. There we are. And I'll say good evening to everyone, and see you all hopefully next week. From G0DQH, just 5 miles north of the city of Southampton. So it's fairly steep as well. So that's it. That's the last one. Back up to Canberra. And I think it's G0NZO now, take it. So I'll pass it on to you, just get my call sign up again. There we are. And I'll say good evening to everyone, and see you all hopefully next week. from G0DQH, just 5 miles north of the city of Southampton.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, James. Nice pictures. Certainly a bit warmer there than it is over here, but there you go. Hopefully you can all hear me. I think its sound is working. I have muted it, but it's quite a long delay before it all comes back. So yeah, I've not got that much to show you, but I have my PA was getting rather warm, so I've added a bit more fanning. Back to me. I also put a little amplifier in up this end to compensate for the 50 feet or whatever it is of 75 ohm coax that I have. Oh, there we go. Running from the loft to the shed. That seems to be working okay now. So just running with a line gain of 85 at this end. And I can switch that, so I've got a switch here which I can turn that on and off, so I don't need to I can power up me big fans. Yes, Jim, very big fans, but it's doing the job, keeping it nice and cool. A pair of 6-inch fans they are, yeah. Yeah, I think I've got a bit of a problem with the IP. What's that say? Yeah, the IPTS in, maybe. I don't know. It was working quite well before, but it's doing this now. Strangely, I ran it at 500k, and it doesn't do that. But I don't seem to have dropouts or anything like that, so I'm not really sure what that is telling me. But there you go. It did work okay, and as far as I can see, I haven't changed any settings. But there you go. Who knows? What else? Oh yeah, because the PA is located in the shed near the dish. So I've bought a smart plug or a smart socket, whatever you want to call it. So everything's powered in up from that. So I don't have to go down the shed now to turn it on. I can turn it all on from the app.
Doesn't monitor off instead of muting it. Right. Okay, Duncan. Good pictures. Couple of issues there. You've got a lot of latency, very clearly, because when you turned your PA on, we then got about 15 or 20 seconds of Jim's over, which I reckon means some of your latency is on receive. Seemed a bit strange to me. Or perhaps it was on transmit and you just turned the PA on. The errors in FFmpeg, yes. I am not a specialist on FFmpeg on a PC, which is clearly what you're using. The other issue you had, Duncan, is when you switched to the picture of the power amplifier, you lost audio, and I think you're probably using vMix, and that's why it happened, because that happens quite commonly. Other comments we went round. Sorry to hear your HF rigs had a problem, and on the Serret, Martin, you could try changing to the other input, because you've probably only blown up one of the inputs, not the other. So that's an option for you. Mike, your video coding freezes, or certainly on my replay, freezes when you do a rapid picture change. And that happened actually with Noel as well, and that's my fault with Noel, because it's the H.264 encoder in the Raspberry Pi. It hasn't got enough margin to allow big picture changes. Bernie's gone. Yeah, I reckon it probably is video noise that makes Bernie's picture poor. Poor old FFmpeg in the ATV Express code suffering from the noise. Gonzo, you were talking about why you needed to change the restart ports down receiver. It's because it doesn't kick VLC and puts out a transport stream, but VLC is still working on the last set of valid settings. So if somebody switches from H.264 to H.265, it's still looking for H.264. Ryde gets around that by kicking VLC and changing it every time the signal changes. Okay, what I've been up to here? Playing with DVB-T. I put a prototype receiver into Ryde so that people don't need 2 ports down 4s. It's only command line driven from the menu, but just gives people another option. I have actually squeezed some smoke back into something rather than letting some smoke out. Where is it? In this box here, it's just a boring aluminium box actually, but in the box is a Lime SDR Mini that had blown up. One of the power supply switching regulators on the board had blown up. Anyway, I managed to get it off the board and put an external linear regulator on, and hence it's got loose wires, so it's got a linear regulator bolted to the side of this box. And I'm always for 70SEMs I just use BNCs, and I get fed up of screwing and unscrewing SMAs, so I put a couple of adapters inside so the receive and transmit come out on the SMA, and a captive USB cable there. So that's another Lime SDR back in the land of the living. I've written the Radcom column that went in this week for next month, and had a look at QuickTune. Been looking at how we get QuickTune working with Ryde. Tim has done some really good work on that, and that all seems to be ready. We're just waiting for Rob's latest version of QuickTune before release. And as Tim says, he's going to put proper DVB-T support in to Ryde. But at least all the packages he needs, they're there now, and something is working. The Raspberry Pi and Micro, yes, I looked at that and thought that'll be useful. Not sure what for, but one day I'll get one. But not a lot of use for TV apart from for controlling stuff. The sort of Arduino role. Okay, we've been once round in the time. We'll quickly go round for one more time. But I fear we've lost a few to 70 megs. Should be doing TV on 71. Round to Martin, everybody. G4FKK and the group G8GKQ.
Yes, okay, Dave. Let's just make sure I've got some audio. Oh, there it is. Excellent. Very good. And yeah, very interesting see everyone's projects this week, and feeling slightly cold here, James, after seeing your pictures of Greece. It must be a good villa there. Have you been there every year for 10 years? You would have a dish on it by now. We could see you live and direct, as it were. Yeah, Richard, I don't think the 756 is going to be an easy fix, but I do think I know what's wrong with it. If I can get the part, I mean, the rig's probably 15 years old now, is it? Maybe not that old, but it's they've still got bits at ICOM. I should be able to fix that. And the 27's transversal look good. Yeah, well, I was wondering what the next thing to blow up might be, Mike. And well, apart from my speakers when your 30 hertz comes on, but they've survived that. I keep forgetting to turn the volume down when you're due. I've noticed an interesting thing here, Dave. I don't know if it's a real thing, to be honest, but I'll mention it anyway. I noticed Mike's picture there was a bit of latency there, and it was dropping in and out, or freezing, and I thought that's probably FFmpeg. But then it happened on Bernie's signal as well, and I've never seen Bernie jumping about like that. Well, not jumping about, but not stuttering. So I was wondering whether it was the modified Ryde I was using. So I've quickly slapped in the old card without the DVB-T mod on it, and it seems to be working fine at the moment. So I don't know if that's significant or not. It's probably just by my bad luck, and maybe it's the third thing, Mike. So that'd be good. 77. Oh, your AMI to black box, excellent. If only I had a 3D printer. Oh, Gareth, I wonder if you're thinking of printing one of Mike's boxes up, but that would be really handy for the PA. I don't know what your connector is, I'm afraid, Jim, on the amp. And I was very impressed, Duncan, with your big fans. I have got 3 fans on my amplifier, which is here. And the amplifier is now in a case. I was very impressed with your cases, Jim. So I've bent bits of aluminium up, and you can't see it from that shot, thank God. But it's now in a case, and it runs nice and cool. So that's good. Nice to see you, Jules. I don't think we've worked before, so nice to see you for the first time. And Noel, that was it Calmus amp you called it? Looks good. Was it 74 gigs? Oh, this I've been used to top band for a long time, and 4 meters is a bit high, but 74 gigs is pushing it a bit. And on the IPTS front, you put a script up the other day, Mike, which I actually managed to get working through my ports down. So that's a good start. I've not had any luck doing that before, so thank you for that. Good to see you on, Gareth, and the 77's amp. I think it's Class A, isn't it? I think that's why it gets hot. I could be wrong. Duncan, as well as the fans, I was going to say I've been looking for you during the week to see some more videos of Old Warden, but I have to wait for those. And yeah, I'm running the what could be a broken mini tuner on the satellite. It's working fine. So if all else fails, I'll swap the inputs. But infuriating if that's happened. And thank you very much for all your work on the Ryde and the ports down. It's I feel like I'm doing some valid testing at last. Right, that's enough from me. I'm not sure if Richard is still here, so I'll put it round to you, Richard. GI 4DOH from G4FKK, and see you all next week, hopefully.
we go. I think that is me coming online. Oh yes, get the volume down, get the volume down. Yep, thanks for that, Martin. And I meant to make a few notes on the way through there. Various things I wanted to comment on. Yes, indeed, James, that looks like a very nice, warm, sunny place. I'm afraid even after we sort of unlock in the UK and we can get over to see our daughters in Luton and Birmingham, it'll probably be a while before we're able to travel around Europe and the rest. I suspect Friedrichshafen won't be happening this, or not at the usual time of year, but the end is in sight and I look forward to that. And Mike, what you were saying about the things you can pick up at rallies, and also Gareth, looking at your amplifier and thinking, everything I do, I tend to be starting with brand new bits, mounting them on brand new heat sinks or cutting holes in brand new boxes, because I don't have a history of attending rallies where I could get the bits and pieces. Not that I had a particular interest above 30 megahertz until relatively recently, so that's quite a new field for me, and I'm looking forward to the rallies getting back online again. Certainly been to the Blackpool rally a couple of times, or the last couple of ones, and hope to do that in the future. Now that I'm retired officially, 65 as of yesterday, not that I've worked for a while, but I now feel that I can come and go as I please. I don't have to be seen to be doing anything for a living. And what else was going to comment on? Noel, the thing about generators, I've got a little briefcase generator, and it's very useful for topping things up, but it's not big enough to actually do anything particularly meaningful. I do have a much larger generator, but it's bigger than I can, with an aging back, lift into the back of the car by myself. It's certainly a two-man job to do that. However, I have done an afternoon session at CW Field Day with my K3 on my lap, with just the engine ticking over was enough to keep the battery going. Just a mag mount 20 meter aerial on the top, so the car seems to be able to look after its own battery. But when you start taking serious things, like I'm running more or less 10 amps at 28 volts, it's probably a bit more than you can do for a prolonged period of time with that. So not a lot more from this end. Plenty of things to keep me going over the coming weeks. I hope to be along next Thursday night, so I'll wish you all 7.3s in the meantime, and hope to be. Oh yes, two other things. Jules and Duncan, hello from Bangor, County Down. I don't think we've met before, and you actually bring my list of call signs on the OnQ100 to 37 calls, including Don EI8DJ. I don't know if you're online tonight, Don and Cork. If you are, good evening. We hope to see you here fairly soon. So that's it from me. 7.3s and good evening to you all. Take care, keep safe, and hope to see you all next week. This is, and passing it on to Mike, G0 MJW with the group. This is GI4DOH.
Good, right. Well, I've turned down the level of the 30 hertz tone, Martin, so hopefully that is a bit better. And thank you, Richard. That was interesting to discover there. Anyway, maybe have a chat about that later. Right, I don't think I've got much else to add, apart from, there does seem to be a problem with the script, with latency building up, and I don't know if it's this version of FFmpeg if it's a network issue or if it's something to do with the latest Pluto firmware. But it seems to have got quite bad, and it wasn't like that before. So something's changed. They've got to find out what's causing this big build-up of latency. But otherwise, yeah, the quality's usually good. But this time, you may have noticed I'm looking a bit low resolution. I've turned down the resolution in the hope that that might improve things. So if I jump about, does that make a difference? I don't know, really. Difficult to tell. Maybe it's the other camera has to be used and sort of moved around so that you move around the shack. That's the sort of thing that would cause problems. But maybe the secret is lower resolution. I don't know. We will see. Yeah, well, it's not breaking up for me. So if it's breaking up for you, it's not breaking up for me via Winter Hill. So that might be a hang on. But I suspect it's simply the resolution. So the resolution is now terrible. 640 by 360 or something like that. So a really, really low resolution. But it's definitely better from the point of view of latency. Not latency, sorry. Picture's not breaking up. Okay, you live and learn. So you probably don't want to look at me anyway. So maybe that's a good thing. Right, 7:30 everyone. Catch you all next week, hopefully, and enjoy the rest of the week. Who was it who was saying that? Duncan. I'm working at the moment, so I don't have very much time during the week to actually do anything particular. So it'll be the weekend when I start playing around to see if I can get it to work. I've also got the what is it called? The Jetson Nano all set up and running. So it's accessible now, headless as well as up with a screen. So I should, in theory, just be able to send it UDP and then it'll encode all of that and produce DVB-T from the ports down, which will be interesting. And we'll see what we get. G0MJW, 7:30 everybody.
Ready to cancel this sound? Seems I know it works. Yep, that's right. Okay, just a quick one then. Okay with the digital ammeter, Mike, but I've found problems with some of them with RF getting into them and upsetting the reading. So mine are up there in the top. You see I've got an old Avo and a couple of little meters which are a 20 amp and a 30 amp, and that covers all my needs, so that works pretty well, and they're accurate enough for big PAs, I find, and they're pretty cheap. Very cheap, and yeah, still on. Yeah, huge fans. I've frozen on my screen. I'll go back now. I remember putting that amp together before I sent it to you, and it's pretty big, so I know how big those fans are. They're monsters. No wonder big noisy things like that, they're up in the shed out the way. So anyway, I'm going to say 73s and catch everybody next week. And I will pass it on to Noel now. So G8 GTZ from G7NTG with the net.
GTZ. Got a black border, haven't I? Bit of adjustment on the camera. Okay. Right, well, good to hear everybody. Interesting. I think FFmpeg is at the root of my problems as well, and I need to try and work out what's going on. But I'll try and do it before 6 o'clock on Thursday. Okay, don't think there was too much else to comment on. But, no, I've actually turned on 4 meters, but it seems very noisy. I suspect the Raspberry Pi is kicking off a bit. Right, I'll sign with that, and we'll be around next week hopefully. So I'll say 73s and catch you all later. And I'm not sure, can't remember who it goes to. Gareth again. And yes, okay, Gareth. I'm not sure that heatsink will be big enough for that PA, as I think it was Martin said it probably runs in Class A, which is why it's very, very linear. But mine got phenomenally hot, and yeah, you probably need to watch that. But there we go. And yes, apparently Honda generators are the ones to go for. Very expensive, but very light and very quiet. So who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'll have to cave in. Right, round to you, Gareth. G4XAT, G8GTZ.
Nature abhors a vacuum, so I'll take it, and we can take Gareth and Duncan in a minute. Comments from then. Martin, or I think it was Martin, was talking about whether the modified Ryde was any different. I have 2 Rydes running in the shack here. One which you see me looking at up on the right hand side, which is my local monitor, and one on the left which is doing the streaming, and one's modified for DVB-T, one isn't, and they've both been dropping out at exactly the same time, so I'm fairly confident there is no difference, and certainly there shouldn't be, because the bits of code aren't linked at all, but you never know what you get up to when you change things, that's for sure. So that's all the comments from me, but really good to see all the activity on the lower bands. It would be nice when we're actually able to get out on hilltops and do it. I must get my loft aerial up and see if I can do anything on 50 megs. But I suspect not a lot. Okay, Gareth, if you can be ready to go next, I'll put it around to you, and we'll call the net to the close after Duncan's had his go, if he's still there. But a very good net, good to see you all, and look forward to seeing you all next week. G4XAT and the group G8GKQ.
Right, that's looking more promising. Yes, it is. Good. Okay. Sorry about that. I was trying to be clever and switch the voltage to the pre-driver, and it seemed to upset the ports down. I ought to do something about that. Well, inspired by Dave's comments on his Lime Mini that expired, I did the same. Only what I've done here is stick a little 3.3 volt regulator and heat sunk it onto the metal case. It does seem to work. I haven't given it extensive testing because, not surprisingly, that gets hot fairly quick. Excuse the cat, please do. I've also been busy reverse engineering a front panel for the Ryde. Two versions of that, one with annotated bits of drawing and stuff on it. So that fits together beautifully and provides a nice front. And that's about it for me for this week, I suppose. If it's Duncan who's next, fair enough. Oh, I would just say this. In search of powerful fans, I found this. If you can't read the resolution, because I can't on my monitor, it says 48 volts and 1 amp, and it blows an absolute hoolie at 32 volts, so I don't think we'll have much trouble with that. Right, okay, apologies to whoever's next, but round to them in 5 seconds. Over from G4XAT. See ya.